Right, I'm in the Golf today and going over to my lockup to get the Alpina. I've got a couple of things I want to do. I want to bring it back home. I want to plug it in. I want to try and get to the bottom of the boosting issue. It keeps going into limp mode if you try and plant your foot at low revs. So I think there's probably a vacuum leak on the actuator for the smaller turbo, which comes in at lower revs. Just seems to be that the boost that the car's calling for and the boost it's actually giving isn't always the same. Once it gets over about 3,000 revs and it goes on to the second turbo, then it seems to be okay and it's giving the full 2 bar of boost that it's requesting. So let's get over there, get the car and see what's going on. Something I wanted to try. It's the first time I've been to the car since it's had the ceramic coating. It's how the water runs off. Obviously it's a bit dusty where it's been in the garage, but let's see. Not bad. Excuse the mess, I haven't actually cleaned the inside yet, but got my Kali adapter which goes into the OBD port. Reason that's hanging out is because last time I used it, it was in there and I got out the car and I managed to catch it with my foot and I've broken the mounting, so I'm going to have to get, well, I'm going to have to do something with it. I'm hoping I might even be able to stick it, but it's going to mean taking all this trim off. So for now it's just hanging there, but that'll be okay for the test. And get my iPad set up and then I can get the values that I want to check when we're driving home, hopefully get it in a graphical view. So what I've done is I've got the Kali set up and I've got it set up with 4 parameters, engine speed, vehicle speed, and then I've got the boost pressure. So the basic charge pressure set point is the boost that the car is expecting or would like, and then the air pressure in front of the inlet manifold is what the car is actually giving. So below about 3,000 RPM on this model with the twin turbo, it's using the smaller turbo or boosting the smaller turbo, and then higher RPM it switches to the bigger one. And I believe that it's the small one that's causing the problems, because every time I've had the limp mode come in, it's always been when I've planted my foot at lower revs. So what I'm going to do first is, so that I don't end up going into limp mode on the dual carriageway, is just do a couple of runs, 3rd and 4th gear, higher revs, and I just want to see how quickly the boost pressure is giving what it should do, basically. These figures are in PSI, but they're actually, obviously, atmospheric air pressure is 1 bar, which is 14.5 PSI. So you actually have to take 14.5 PSI off of these figures to get the actual boost that the car's producing. So get it up to higher revs, and it pulls really well. But now it's not doing it. So that second run was a bit weird. It was pulling, and then it seemed to be not boosting the second time, and you'll probably see that from the figures. So we'll do a run for 2,500. Again, it's pulling really well. Put it in 6th gear now. Let the speed drop, get back down to around 1,600 RPM. Put to the floor. It takes quite a while for the actual PSI to ramp up, and I'm not really sure, maybe someone can comment below, but I would have thought that should be quite pretty immediate, and I'm just wondering whether there's a vacuum leak on the actuator, which is quite common on this setup, which uses the same setup as the 123D. Place to break down there, so I can do another run after the speed camera. Use 3rd gear, and hopefully we'll see the same problem again. So it boosts really well above 3,000, and then I change gear and it just seems to have a problem with it. That's pulling really well. And the booster's gone again. So after changing gear, it just seems to not want to boost. Another run. Now I'm getting boost. Obviously I need to do some more investigation. My first thought was a boost leak. It's quite common on these that the intercooler pipes can leak, and I know that there's a little bit of oil at the bottom on the passenger side underneath the intercooler, but it doesn't explain why I'm getting full boost, say in 3rd gear, change gear into 4th, and then it just doesn't want to boost. But then if I take my foot off the throttle, put my foot down again, it does boost. So it's a bit of a strange one. So I'm going to give it another try. Just let this car go by. 3rd gear, boosting, no boost. Now it's coming in. What we'll do as we get to the roundabout, there's a slight pull up the hill, so come off the roundabout and try and get a pull in 2nd gear and just see whether I get the same symptoms going from 2nd into 3rd. By the way, BMWs do have indicators. That's how you turn them on. Okay, 1st gear, 2nd. Getting some wheel spin then, but now it's not boosting now. Foot's flat to the floor. Now it's coming in. So we can have a look at those figures. try and match the figures up to the video and have them hopefully be able to have that on the screen as well. But there's definitely something not quite right there. But the other thing is, and funnily enough, I haven't had it go into limp mode today. The last couple of times I've driven it, I've managed to get invoke limp mode just by driving it as I have today. And the issue that comes up is the EGR valve. I know before I got the car, the previous owner took it to BMW, and there were two issues that they came up with. One was the DPF, which obviously I've had cleaned now, and the second one was the EGR valve. And I believe that the EGR valve probably is it probably isn't helping, let's say, but I'm pretty sure that this is related to an air leak either on the solenoid vacuum hoses or the intercooler pipes. So that's going to be the next thing that I need to check. One thing I'd like to do, get a chance, is just do a pull from about 1000 RPM, because apparently these start boosting at around 1200 with the twin turbo setup. So let's do that. I mean, you can feel it. You can feel it boosting, but it's just not. It just doesn't feel the same as. It doesn't feel how it should. I had a X1 25D some years ago, similar engine to this, similar power, and it just pulled really hard from low revs. This just doesn't seem to do that. So, right, next job is to have a look, but I think I'll save that for another video. But appreciate any comments. If anyone knows the setup on these and can comment on the figures that I've posted up, that'd be really helpful. Cheers.